Am I the a-hole for refusing to hire my husband's nephew? I 36F am a sixth-generation rancher on both sides of my family. After graduation from college, my granddad bought me 40 acres, and since then I've expanded. So this ranch was mine long before I met my husband and will remain mine if we ever split. I have the paperwork for this. My husband 36M grew up in the country, but doesn't understand ranching. He does some work around the ranch, but honestly, if he wasn't my husband, I'd fire him as a ranch hand. His animal husbandry lacks. He doesn't do anything unless specifically told to do it. Like the man could drive by a downed fence with a truck full of tools and wouldn't stop or even tell anyone that a fence was down. He doesn't finish half the tasks he starts, and he costs me more money than I actually thought possible because he's constantly breaking things. His nephew 18M is the same way. I've hired him to do odd jobs at my husband's request, and unless I'm on top of him the whole time, it doesn't get done. This hasn't gotten better in the last 5 years, and honestly, I think it's gotten worse. To be honest, if laziness were an Olympic sport, those two would bring home the gold and then ask me to polish their medals. I'm running a ranch, not a daycare for grown men who think lifting a finger is a full day's work. I need workers, not watchers. Just recently, we were building a new barn and his nephew didn't leave the house once to lift a finger but still expected to get paid. Yesterday, one of my hands told me he was moving and I mentioned having to replace him with my husband. He said, "Oh, I'll let nephew know." I asked why, and he said because he promised his sister when we had an opening we'd hire a nephew. I told him I'm too busy to babysit, so I'm not hiring him. Husband got mad and said his nephew does good when he's working with nephew's dad, so he thinks he'd do okay. I told him then his dad can come and babysit him and I'd pay them one wage to split. My husband doubled down and said he'd like him here. I said, "So you both can sit in the bunkhouse and smoke while the rest of us bust out butts?" It's not happening. I'd rather hire my 8-year-old nephew. Now, my husband's entire family is calling me an a-hole and my mom is siding with them. My dad and both grandpas are saying I'm right to not hire a crap employee just cause he's family. So am I the a-hole for not hiring my nephew in my ranch?
Here are the top comments.
Not the a-hole. You should never hire relatives as it just adds drama. It sounds like you have some mounting animosity toward your husband that you need to deal with.
No, don't hire that kid. And I sincerely hope your husband has some redeeming qualities because he does not sound like a good husband in your story.
Your husband should be your biggest advocate and support when it comes to interactions with his family. He sounds like a bad employee and a bad partner. Not the a-hole. I think you need to have a deep conversation with your husband regarding these concerns.